Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Samsung Refrigerator Evaporator Heater Plate. It's going to be a very easy repair and should only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new Evaporator Heater Plate. The evaporator heater plate is mounted on the evaporator heater. The main reason you'll be changing it out is if it's damaged, allowing the drain to freeze up, causing ice to build up on the freezer floor or water to build up on the refrigerator floor. Since this part is used in both the fresh food and the freezer section, we're going to show you how to change it in both sides. If you're changing out the fresh food section, we have to open up both refrigerator doors. Now that we have both doors open, we're going to take out these two drawers and the upper shelves. To get the drawers out, you just have to pull out till they stop. Then lift up on the front a little bit and pull them out the rest of the way. Once you have them out, you can set them aside. Now that we have the drawers out, we're going to take out the center divider. There's a little locking tab on each side that we have to press in. Then you can pull the divider out. Once you have it off, you can pull it out and set it aside. To get the shelf out, we're just going to lift up on the front a little bit. And you can pull it forward. Once you have it free, you can pull it out and set it aside. The three upper shelves all come out the same way. We're just going to lift up on the front, and then lift up a little bit, and then pull them out. Once you have them out, you can set them aside. The small shelf, you just have to lift it out of the way. Now that we have all the shelves out, we have to remove the back panel. There's 4 screws that hold it on. There's one located behind this cover right here that we have to take off. So we're going to use a small flathead screwdriver to carefully get in here and release the tab. Once you have it free, you can pull the cover off, set it aside. Now we can use the Phillips screwdriver and remove the 4 screws. Now that we have those screws off, we can take the back panel off. As you're pulling it off, you want to be careful. There's 2 wiring harnesses up here that we have to disconnect once we get some room. And we can reach back in there and unplug them. Once you have the panel free, we can reach up and disconnect the wire harnesses. To disconnect the wiring harnesses, each one has a locking tab. All you have to do is press the locking tab so you can pull the wire harness off. Once you have them both free, you can pull the assembly out of the refrigerator. Now that we have the back panel off, we have access to the evaporator heater plate. It's riveted right there to the heater. There's 2 times you'd be changing this, is if you're changing out the heater and you have to either replace it or swap it from the old one to the new one. Or if your heater works and this is just damaged or missing somehow and the drain is freezing up. In that case, you're going to change it like this. We're just going to grab the wire cutters and cut it off right here. Once you have it off, you can pull it out of the refrigerator. Here's the old evaporator heater plate next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. To put the new evaporator heater plate on, we're just going to get it behind the heater and crimp it around. Once you have it around, you want to make sure you slide it down in the middle. And squeeze it together as much as you can. You want to make sure it's lined up right with the drain hole. Once you have it in place, we can grab the rivet gun and rivet it on. It's just a 1/8 inch pop rivet. I'm just gonna get it into the plate and rivet it together. Once you have it riveted on, you want to make sure the plate is pointed right at the center of the drain hole. Once you have it centered, we can put the back panel on. To put the back panel on, we're just going to lift it up into place. And then we have to reach behind it and reconnect the wire harnesses. We have the one that goes to the temperature sensor, that goes on the top. And the one that goes to the fan goes on the bottom. Once you have them both hooked up, you can lift the back panel up into place. Once you have the back panel in place, we can use a Phillips screwdriver to put the screws back in. Once you have these 3 screws in, we can put in the upper one. Now that we have the screws in, we can snap the cover on. All you have to do is line it up, push it into place. Once you have it in, we can put all the shelving back in. To put these upper shelves back in, they all go in the same way. We're just gonna set the top hooks on first and lower it down. Once you have the upper one on, we can lower this little side shelf. Now we can put the crisper cover in. To put the cover back in, we're just going to set it down onto the rails, and then we're going to hold the front up a little bit, then push it back so the shelf goes underneath the rails. You can set the front down. To put the sport in, all you have to do is line it up and push it in. You want to make sure it snaps in. Once you have it in place, we can put the drawers in. When you put the drawers in, you want to make sure the wider one goes on the left. And all you have to do is put them in the same way you took them out. Lift up on the front a little bit. Push them in, drop the front down. Push it the rest of the way in. Now that we've shown you how to do it in the refrigerator, we'll show you how to do it in the freezer. To get to the part, all you have to do is open up the freezer door. Once you have the door open, we have to take the drawer out. So we're just gonna pull it out a little bit, and you want to make sure that the rails on each side are pushed all the way up like this, and then we can lift up on the drawer and pull it out. Now that we have the drawer out, we're going to take the basket out. In order to make it easier to get that out, we're going to open up the refrigerator doors for a second, and then we can lift the basket out. You want to lift the back up first and then slide it towards the back a little bit. Once you have it free, you can lift it out and set it aside. Once we have the basket out, we're going to close the refrigerator doors again, and then we can take the door off the freezer. We can see this bracket that has 2 bolts that hold the door onto the rails. We're going to use a 10mm socket with a ratchet to take them out. Now that we have these out, we can go do the ones on the other side. Now we can lift the door off the brackets. If it's stuck, you can use your hand to press down on the rail while you break it free. And then we can carefully lift the door up, pull it off. Once you have it off, you can set it aside. Now that we have the door out of the way, we have to take this connecting rod off. So we're just going to push it all the way over to the right and flex a little bit so it comes out of the left wheel. Once you have it out of that, we can pull it out of the right one and pull it off and set it aside. Once you have the connecting rod out, we can push the rails in. Then we can take out the ice maker. To get it out, the first thing we're going to do is remove this cover. It's just snapped on, so just squeeze it a little bit and pop it off. Once you have the cover off, we're going to use a Phillips screwdriver to take out these 2 screws that hold it up. Once you have the screws out, we're going to reach in and pull forward on the ice maker so it releases from the tabs. So we can drop it down and carefully reach in and disconnect the wire harness. There's a locking tab on it. Just have to press it to release it. Once you have it released, you can pull the ice maker out of the freezer. Now that we have the ice maker out, we're going to take the back panel off, tailed in by 2 screws. We're going to use a Phillips screwdriver to take them out. Once you have both screws out, you can reach in and carefully pull the back panel off. To get the back panel off, we're just going to carefully pull out on it. Once you have it worked out, you can drop it down a little bit. Once you have the back panel lowered down, you can see that there's 3 electrical connections up here on the right-hand side that we have to disconnect. There's locking tabs on them, so we're just going to reach up and unlock them and unplug them. Once you have all 3 of the wire harnesses disconnected, we can pull the back panel out of the freezer. Just like up in the refrigerator, down here in the freezer we have to pull the evaporator out. So you want to be careful of these lines. You don't want to move them very fast or kink those lines. We're just going to pull the evaporator out enough so that we can remove the plate. First thing we're going to do is use the flathead screwdriver and get underneath this tape right here so we can peel it off. The tape is ruined, you're going to have to get some aluminum foil tape to replace it if you can't reuse it. Once you have it off, you can set it aside. Then we're going to get a flat blade screwdriver and get underneath the evaporator pan and lift up on this. Once you have it out a little bit, we can go over to the other end. And right back in this area, there's a hole where a vent goes through, and there's a little lip right here that you're going to have to carefully get the pan around. So we're just going to lift up on the pan and pull the evaporator forward. Don't lift up on it because there's this little indent right here that holds it in place. So just pull it out, and then once you have it out a ways, you can lift up on it and pull it out. Once you have it free, we can cut off the plate. We're just going to reach in and flex the drain pan out of the way. And then you can use the wire cutters to cut off the evaporator heater plate. Once you have it off, you can pull it out of the freezer. Now we can put the new evaporator heater plate on. Just gonna bend this down just like when we took it off. And you want to make sure you line it up right where the drain hole is. We're just gonna put it on the heater and then close it up. If you have to, you can use a small pliers just to shape it around the heater so the holes line up. Once you have the plate in place, we're going to grab the rivet gun, and we're just going to use a regular 1/8 inch rivet, and we're going to put the rivet through the plate. Once you have it riveted in place, you want to make sure it's lined up with the drain hole, and then we can lift the evaporator assembly into place. You want to do the left side first. You want to make sure that the lip of the vent comes through the hole in the drain pan. Once you have it lined up, you can push it back into place. And then we can push the right side in. Once you have the evaporator back in place, we can put the tape back on. If you're putting a new piece of tape on, all you gotta do is peel the paper off and stick it on. Once you have the tape in place, we can put the back panel on. To put the assembly in, we're just gonna kind of lift it up into place. And then we're gonna have to reach behind and grab the 3 wire harnesses and plug them in. They're all different, so you can't mix them up. Just push them on and make sure you get them in there so you get a good connection. Once you have all three connected, lift the assembly back up, push it into place. Now if you have to, you can pull this right slide out so this wheel gets out of the way. Once you have the wheel out of the way, you can get the panel up the rest of the way. And then we can use the Phillips screwdriver to put in the screws. Now that we have it back in place, we can put the ice maker back in. To put the ice maker assembly back into the freezer, just gonna line it up so we can plug the wiring harness in. It can only go on one way. Make sure it snaps on so you get a good connection. Once you have it in place, we're gonna lift it up so the fill tube goes up through the opening. And push it back and lock it onto the mounting legs in the back. Lock it into place. Once you have it in place, we can use the Phillips screwdriver to put in the screws on the front. Once you have both screws in, we can put the cover back on. Just have to line it up and snap it back into place. Now that we have the ice maker in, we're going to pull the rails out. And then we can put in the bar that goes between the two wheels. Just have to line it up on the right one and push it in. And do the same on the left. If you have to flex a little bit, you can. Once you have the bar back on, we can put the door on. To put the door back on, you just have to line it up on each rail and set it into place. Once you have the door in place, we can use the ratchet with the 10mm socket to put the bolts back in. Now we can do the ones on the other side. Once you have the door back on, we can put the basket in. To put the basket back in, we're going to open up the refrigerator doors to give us a little bit more room. And we're going to take the basket and lower the front down in first. Then you want to swing it and lay it down. You want to make sure that the front locking tabs go in, and then you can set the rear ones down. Now that you have the basket in, we can close the doors, and then we can put the drawer in. To put the drawer back in, you want to make sure that the slides are in the same position they were when you took them off. And then we can carefully set the drawer in. You want to make sure that the slides go onto the glides. And you can push it all the way back in. Once you have it in, you can close the freezer door, plug it back in, and make sure it starts to cool. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.